Lizzie, thank you for joining me for part two, where we are got a spade and we're digging deeper. So, Lizzie, I want to ask you, if you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Because I know that you enjoy lots of different foods like Italian food,
Mm.
Indian food, Chinese food. What would it be?
That's a difficult. I actually think it would be slow cooked pork ribs
Okay.
with a nice sticky sauce on them. I do love sweet things, but I think if I could only have one thing, that would be it. And of course, in Saudi Arabia, we can't get pork because it's a Muslim country. I think I probably crave it more than I would if we were back in the UK and I'd got, free access to it. So yes, I think I could do that. But then I like vegetables as well. And I'd be thinking, oh, I like the pork rib, but it would be nice with, and then something else as well. So got me thinking, Jeannie.
Yeah. I just love fresh vegetables. They're always so tasty, aren't they?
Mm.
Okay, then. So, Lizzie, I want to ask you, what is the hardest thing about this season in your life?
Um, I think we touched on it last time we spoke. It is time management and trying to fit things in, trying not to become anxious. I think a particularly hard thing for me at the moment is being away from family when they have got health issues or they need a little bit more parental support. And sometimes that is a challenging because we can't just hop on a plane and go back. It's a long distance, so it's managing the feelings of what your heart is telling you that you should be doing, and then what is physically possible for you to be able to do. So that's been a challenge all of my married life because we do travel around with a lot with Matt's job. And as it was the same for a lot of people, that was even harder during COVID because everybody was separated from people that they loved. So this season's challenge is trying to dot all the I's and cross all the T's so that we can move into the next season. My husband will finish here in August, but already we've still got to think about what is it that's coming up next and managing those situations. And the frustrations for me are it's nothing that I can have an influence on or make a change in or get involved in the decision making process. It's out of my hands, and oftentimes it's out of Matt's too, because life in the military is well, your next posting is here and this is where you're going to go. So it's I know that chronologically it's still quite a long time away, but it's getting all of your ducks in place so that you are ready to make the move to the next season. So it's being apart from family and managing expectations and concerns and worries about what's happening for the next season. But you have to enjoy the season you're in as well, don't you? Because otherwise you're constantly waiting for the next thing to happen. So it's also enjoying the time that you are having now as well. Yeah.
How do you stay connected with God throughout your week?
prayer, personal Bible study, which at times I do struggle to make appropriate time for. And I'm very lucky that I do something that I love with Living Stones Church, the church here, and also with another church in the UK as well. That it's almost like they say, you know, if you do something that you love, if you can turn a hobby into something that you love, you'll never actually work a day in your life, because it's just something that brings you pleasure. And I'm fortunate to be able to do that, and I get such a personal blessing from it.
Yes.
You know, then it's across a range. And the church here is multinational. We have Indians, Australians, people from Britain, people from New Zealand. We've got one lady that's come from Brazil, and we're all in this kind of melting pot, and everybody brings something different to the church fellowship experience. But I realise now just how lucky I am to have been afforded these opportunities, and particularly by Living Stones Church, because it was something that you created and have run with it. And you and Paul are great mentors as well, and everybody needs that. And you know, the ability to recognise something in someone else. You know, I've been so blessed by that you've given me these opportunities, and I am privileged, and it's always an honour if one of you have messaged and said, oh, could you do us a little teaching on such and such? It's that I do get excited about it, because I think, oh my goodness, I can do this, and I can do that. And I will be very, very grateful. I am grateful for that.
And I think, Lizzie, with Living Stones, we all work together, and that's important. It's not like a one-man band. Each part of the body, as the Bible says, has something to give, something to offer, and it's good to use our gifts so that we can bless one another. Lizzie, what do you think you could do more to connect with God?
I know that I could do with much more quiet time, much more just sitting in his presence, and just having that spiritual download, because any conversation has got to be two-way. It's not just all about speaking, there's the listening part as well. And during prayer I can be speaking to God, and during my private Bible study I can be reading about God and the Bible. And you know, when I'm researching my teaching, I can be involved in the scriptures. But what I do feel I need more of is the listening time, where I just lie down or sit quietly or go for a walk with no distractions, and just to feel his presence surrounding me, to have that wonderful connection where you don't need to be saying anything, you just need to be in receive mode, where you can actually feel his eminence, feel his spirit, feel his love, and just having that, you know, that peace that transcends. Because I think if I could have more of that in my life, the other things that I've spoken about, you know, being anxious about things and feeling that I've got to let go would come more naturally, because I would have that blessed assurance that he's truly with us, you know, he's there. And to have this wonderful conduit of the Holy Spirit that resides within each and every one of us, that we have that conduit with God. But it's important not to always be in output mode, that we also need to have the input time as well. And it's making space for it.
Yeah, I mean, we have to receive, don't we, as well as give out. We do need to receive, and it's good to sit, I think, in the Lord's presence. I think there's something very precious about that, and I think that's something we have to cultivate as well. How do you balance all the priorities in your life? Because you're a busy lady.
I am. I think a lot of it comes down to planning. You have to have a good plan. I am a planner, and to have things set out, but also to build in a degree of flexibility, because I'm sure you'll know, you can have the most perfect plan in the world, and you get that one message or that one phone call that takes over complete and utter priority of it. And the thing that I've still yet to learn and implement with any regularity is the ability to say no to some things that, you think, well, I've already got a busy diary, and someone says, oh, can you just do this? I never think that I can say no. But ultimately, it's better to say no and apply yourself correctly to the tasks that you've already got on your plate, than to say yes to something and just spread yourself so much thinner that you're not even able to fully be involved to the situations that you've already said yes you are going to do that. It's something that I think a lot of people that are in serving ministries, because you always want to say yes, you never want to let anybody down. So it's having a plan and being committed to always trying to do the best that you can, and being able to ask for help, because sometimes that's another thing that I'm not so good at, is asking for help or delegating and thinking that I've got to do everything, when I could quite easily ask someone else to take a share of this thing that I've got to do. But I think a lot of that is inherent. I'm the eldest of six, and growing up in a big busy household, you take on everybody's tasks, and sometimes you just think, no, I could ask someone to help me with this thing. I think we've spoken previously about Martha and Mary. I would definitely be a Martha. I'd be the one that would be busy in the kitchen thinking, I've got these olives to get out, I've got this wine to pour, and there's my sister, she's sitting there at the Lord's feet. And it is getting your priorities right, because Mary was the one that was enjoying that special download time I've just spoken about, instead of doing the things that were not real priorities in the big scheme of things. And it's having that also wisdom to know the things that you can let go of. Sometimes we hold on to stuff for entirely the wrong reasons. Sometimes you have to let go of the familiar so that you can take in something extra that is going to grow you, because without change there's no growth. Right. I think I've said this before, a coal will always remain a piece of coal, unless you add pressure to it, because it's the pressure that makes it into a diamond. But yes, I'm a bit of a planner. That's how I get through things. But also, as I said, having that flexibility in you, that when something comes up, you've got to be able to say, no, I do need to do that
Yes,
first. Yeah,
of course. And I think also, Lizzie, we do need to be willing, but there are times and places when we just have to say no, especially if we feel the Lord has said, don't do something. And we just have to say no. And no is actually a sentence. And lastly, when have you felt the farthest away from God?
I think the time in my life where I struggled most was Matt and I were living in Marham, which is in Norfolk. We'd just come back from a posting in Germany, which I absolutely loved. And I was in it was the first time that we'd had accommodation on an RAF station. We were right next to the airstrip, so it was very noisy and quite a flat, uninteresting place. I was geographically as far from my parents in Wednesbury as I was when we lived in Munich, because of the way the road systems were and that. I suffered with my emotional health, and I was really, really in quite a dark place.
Right.
And I wasn't going to church at the time. I think sometimes when we blame God for things, that we actually should be drawing on him at that time, instead of saying, you know, I'm in this dark place and I'm here on my own. And he's always there. We are the ones that don't realize it. I mean, there's that wonderful little story about, you know, God walking with a person, and you know, there's two sets of footprints, and then they go to one set of footprints, and you know, the person says, oh, that was going through the hardest part of my life, and you know, where's the second set of footprints? You weren't there with me. And God said, I was carrying you. And that's how it is, really. But we just have to realize that, because when you are in that deep dark hole, it's also having the will to reach upward to the hand that's reaching down to you.
Yes.
And it was while I was there that Matt had family visiting close by, not with me, but close by, and I went to see them. And his uncle became really ill and had to go into hospital. And his auntie, who was a proper born again Christian, really, you know, full of the spirit of the Lord, and she actually came and stayed with me. And the other family went back to the Midlands. And it was a great time of ministering, because she actually said to me, why have you stopped going to church? And I had many conversations with her, and she actually brought me back to the Lord. And it was God that sent her. And I wouldn't have wished Matt's uncle to become ill because of this, and he did make a full recovery. But you know, when you're kind of asking God for an answer, you have to be careful how he's going to make it happen, don't you, really? But
Yes.
that's the time I felt the furthest away from him, because I genuinely couldn't see a way out of this hole that I'd got myself into. And you're very good, because I haven't actually spoken about that for a long time. So, yeah, I hope it encourages someone else. Yeah.
Lizzie, thank you. I think we have certainly dug deep in this recording. So can I say thank you for your open and honesty, and it's been such an informative interview. God bless you, Lizzie. Thank you.
And you too, Jean. Thank you. Thank you.